All right, The Real Housewives of Potomac. This is the reunion part 2 of season 10, episode 19. And of course, we leave off with Ashley, getting windy there a little bit because, yes, we all only have one social security number. I mean, I only have one. Don't you only have one? Yes, true. Okay. So, of course, a little back and forth because, Ashley being messy this season, which I guess some viewers viewed it more as being more mean this time around. And when it comes to her and Wendy, obviously Wendy don't accept that apology at all. They bring up things to say like, you're what you're saying here now that, oh, you apologize, you're sorry, it's not you, you didn't mean it, you thought it was all jokes and fun and whoop de whoop de whoop. I think at BravoCon you made some type of apology publicly or whatever, and then you flipped and turn around and you go and talk mess to Stacy and things of that nature. So Wendy's like, yeah, whatever. You have it. You just full of BS, and that's just Ashley, right? And of course, Ashley is like, well, she's not going to accept this narrative that everybody's putting out about her being so called messy and whatnot, using such examples as, because everything's funny and a joke to her and Giselle. But, we're on Ashley at this moment. To where, oh, well, if Karen was here, we could have went tit for tat, whoop-de whoop, back and forth, and it wouldn't have been no thing. With these girls in this group, obviously I can't do that. I got to learn, the different sensitivities to the ladies, boundaries, things like that. And it, could have been different. I could have, she could approach things a different way had she known that these new girls don't joke like that. Okay. And of course, Giselle got to be on Ashley's side with this because she pretty much was on the same page with this, and actually all seasons is, it's always a joke or whatever, right? It's never so serious. But um Angel kind of gets dragged in this a little bit. So Andy asks her about, does she regret, just not showing her a different side of her that, we didn't get to see, which will be her more fun, laid back, chill side, And she regrets that, I think it's just given the circumstances and the situations that had arisen, she could not relax and be on friendly mode. She had to just be on defense all the time. So it is what it is. We're gonna move on to Ashley's segment. She got divorced finally and dating Josh, not dating Josh, and want to be a man, drag or whatever, or don't. I don't know. But either way, first question: did you really get 20 million from Michael Darby? And she, obviously, I'm not gonna say how much I got. What I got is what I got. But smart, you don't want everybody to know all your business, you know what I'm saying? But 20 million, I don't think she got that much. Co-parenting with Michael is going pretty good, even though she be saying that sometimes he don't be doing nothing or sometimes he do. But right now, I don't even know why they had this whole conversation about her and Josh, because who cares if they still date or not dating? Yes, she broke up with him on the camera, broke up with him off the camera, on and off. But who cares, Stacey? Because Stacey was the one to bring up all the mess, But it ain't that serious. We really don't care about Ashley and Josh. Okay, so Ashley and Jackson, they had to bring it up. Remember, she told Sharice that she's allegedly, well, she kissed her son and may have did extra. Okay, allegedly. Um, on the show, we saw Sharice kind of shrug it off and say, okay, okay, whatever. But then turn around and hit the blogs and all. I think she was on Carlos King did interview saying how she she felt some type of way about it, like you know not a good play, being friends and things like that. But it is what it is, right? So for Ashley, she's like, okay, well, I told her, thinking, obviously it will be okay. Like it wasn't such a big deal. That's the way she reacted to it. He's the one that came onto her, initiated whatever happened. Was it just a kiss? It was just a kiss. Why did she allude to more? I don't know. I guess it's just her being flirty and mysterious or whatever the hell she wanted to do to keep the story going. Um, and just how she was just a little bit taken aback and how Sharice was reacting to it, just because she Sharice actually wanted her to be with her son at some point or any point. Like, she keeps calling her sister-in-law and saying, "Oh, you would be a great wife for my husband," things like that. Which, depending on how she says it, I could hear it, and in conversation, jokingly so, but not necessarily being that serious. You know what I'm saying? Like, um, but whatever. That's just how she took it. Andy asked the other ladies how they feel about her dating, Sharice's kid or whatever the hell, hooking up, whatever the heck they did. Wendy, of course, says that I thought it was terrible. Stacy didn't think it was right. Not too many other people said many words, but I think most of the ladies were just kind of like, okay, like. But then again, it's Ashley, so just because it's Ashley and she does stuff like this doesn't necessarily make it right. I don't know. At least it ain't them. That's all that matters. Okay, so Ashley and her family, because remember she did bring her sister on here at some point. How was she? How was her stepdad? But she don't like to be called, that's not her stepfather or whatever. But, sister is good. Stepdaddy is out of rehab, but doesn't mean it took. It ain't her business to speak, but we all know what that little itch scratch mean. And how was Mama Sheila doing? She trying. She trying. They bring up the whole Mauricio thing. Remember, she was trying to flirt or get the number, and Giselle was cock blocking. And Giselle was sticking to girl code because we ain't gonna mess with that lady's husband like that. Ashley talking about she was just only going along with it because Stacy was playing the wingman. Like, I don't know if I really buy that. And then they trying to say, oh, well, Stacy actually really was the one who wanted them. Either way, I'm sure all of y'all was probably peeking. Well, at least because most of y'all are married, T and y'all. But the singles, Giselle was just mad that she but not. I'm gonna get Mauricio before Ashley do. Hell no. See, that's how she was thinking in her mind. I don't know. Andy had a little hot tea about Ashley dating some political figure out there in where they at, Baltimore, DMV area. Um, she says, yeah, it's true, but they don't date no more. And Stacy was like, girl, I don't believe it, because the type of girl you is, not with your resume. And she's like, girl, don't be trying to play me. I can get what I can get. It's you over there with that stink breath you need to be checking. And Giselle was sitting there because her face did kind of turn up a little bit, right? Andy posed the question. Fix my little bra strap there. Giselle, do you know who this person is? And she said, I mean, yeah, but I thought y'all was talking about me because I did date a congressman at one point or whatever. And they like, oh, for real, da, 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 da. You see, Giselle, you be doing something, you be dating, but you don't ever bring it to the TV. No storyline for you. And obviously, I mean, congressmen, we know them type people ain't gonna come on the thing scene. And she has brought men on the show before, like for real. Like, let's not say that she has not. But yeah, she thought that question was for her, but no, it wasn't. Girl, you ain't got no questions. Let's say you ain't got no questions. We'll get to you, I guess, when we get to Colorado. So what is Ashley up to post divorce and what's she doing with her life? She is a author now. Okay, she done wrote her book, a children's book based on Dylan and Dean. So that's kind of cute for her. More books, something in her future. Ashley, author. All right, so it's time for Kay, Miss Kiarna, and what's going on with her and Greg. They are not engaged or anything at the moment. She was about to pull something out from under her seat. Everybody think like, "Ooh, is this the engagement ring? Who is this it?" No, it's that dang picture frame that he done bought her with whatever note on the inside. and she just wanted to explain to the people who, ooh, we thought it was gonna be jewelry or ring or something, and he played you. She like, no, I didn't get played. It's something very symbolic to me because I love picture frames and this and that. So I didn't feel no ways about it. When it comes to the timeline and how they are moving in this relationship, getting a condo instead of a commitment first, and you know, for old school women, like our grandmothers and aunties and stuff like that. Of course, they would tell us that you can't be shacking up and things like that because you giving them all the milk or you giving them the whole cow. I mean, like there's nothing else. He ain't gonna give you no ring or nothing like that. So it is what it is for her. New school, new way, new traditions, her way. And this is just working out for the way her and Greg feel like it's working out. It's working for them. Okay, so the Wendy and Kay beef. Okay, so someone posed the question to Wendy about her friendship with Kay, as if she just didn't want to be her. It seemed as if she just didn't want to be her friend at all, with all the circuit, whatever events and things is popping up. And Kay was like, oh, hey, say hi to me, be my friend. But Wendy being busy, hosting or being a speaker or something, obviously you don't just stop in the middle of something to say, hey, girl, okay, and by the way, that's not how it goes. So this is said incident that they were arguing about on the show, whatever event they were at that Wendy was a speaker of. Kay felt that Wendy was supposed to speak to her or approach her maybe during the speech or before the speech. I don't know. But Wendy said that she did address her after the speech, and the proof is a picture of her actually hugging and embrace. Kay had a proof of a picture of the room, which, I think she was just trying to say, well, look at the room, look at the picture, look at the background of the picture. I think that's where she was going with this. But everybody just kind of said, oh, okay. But obviously, you guys did speak at some point. Either way, Andy said, let's just move on because we're not going to get no resolve with that. And by the way, yes, the stuff that happens off camera that's not necessarily on the show is really irrelevant. Right? Yeah, but then again, they brought it up on the show, so that's why they had to discuss it. So that's the only thing I hate sometimes when they do stuff off the off stuff that happens before the show even starts, filming, and then they bring it to that, and it's like we don't understand, and so the beefs be stemming a little bit deeper than it need to be, at least for us, but it's not. All right, so the beef between Kay and Stacy probably won't have no resolve either because for Kay, it's more of, it's the way that Stacy kept trying to play me as if I'm the aggressive black girl, don't know how to act, that storyline that us try to avoid, especially on camera, everybody watching. And for Stacy, she's like, okay, well, I know, obviously, the connotations that go along with that, narrative of black women and being a black lady herself. Obviously, she's not going to help, perpetuate such things. So, but she flips it on Kay to say, but you should know how to conduct oneself accordingly, so that you don't get said, stereotype as. So it is what it is, the back and forth, like Andy said. Yeah, we're going to move on because this is not going to be resolved. But at least we kind of know where it kind of stems from. You looking a little bit at Kay like that, and Kay like, girl. But Kay, I mean, just tell her, Stacey, you from Detroit. They'll say, listen, you from Detroit. I'm like you don't know how to get down. Let's bring out Jazzy, okay? Jazzy comes out in Jazzy fashion thinking she's somebody. I don't know why. But okay, her dude is on the New England Patriots now these days, and she did not attend the Super Bowl in person. Wait, was this filmed after the Super Bowl? No, this is from before the Super Bowl. But either way, whatever game that Cardi B was at, she didn't go. I know she was at the Super Bowl, so either way, she didn't get to meet her. And that's all I was cracking up. It's like, are you good to meet her? Nah. Unless she actually did go to the Super Bowl. But either way. See, now I'm just ranting about nothing because this is what they be on. A whole bunch of nothing. And we start with the K and Jazzy beef because, right, we thought y'all was friends, but y'all not friends. Where does it stand these days? And she said, girl, I don't know. I mean, I just saw her yesterday and she act like she ain't see me and then speak or nothing. So that's where we at. And Kay was like, oh, well, yeah, I didn't see her. I ain't recognize her or something like that. And this is why you got to don't keep talking once you say something, okay? Because then you put yourself, you know, you slipping up with these, little lies or whatever, because you say, oh, well, I saw Ashley and I looked up and I was like, oh, there go Jazzy. And then I said, whatever, I ain't gonna speak, whatever. So Andy, like, so I mean, you did see her. You just said that you looked up and, oh, that was Jazzy. I mean, yeah, whatever. I'm just trying to say, yeah, you don't like her. And as we're about to get into the conversation as to what Jazzy had holding over Kay about Wendy, remember? Because her and Kay, when they was friends, I guess at some point Kay was venting about Wendy, saying some things or whatever behind her back. And that's what Kay was keeping under wraps or whatever. So Andy was trying to ask her what was said things. And in the midst of this, Kay interrupts with whatever, and they go back and forth, back and forth. And Jazzy hits her with the, girl, don't be trying to, you the one over there that stole Greg from his wife, and you over there take care of his kids and this and that. And she was like, what? And not Wendy always get extra high. Oh my God. Girl, you over there sitting for fraud. Let's not be getting too hype over other people's troubles and woes, especially when yours is gonna lead you to clink clink, like Karen said. All right, let's jump over to Tia. But I guess before we get into what her and Jazzy had going on, in her life and things like that, I think people want to see Rob a little bit more, her husband, but him being in the corporate world and business like that, and ain't no really a lot of ain't no husbands on here for him to make friends with, like or some of the other shows or whatever, or at least because like when Michael and Juan and them, they used to hook up a lot, but not in Potomac. He don't need to be there, right? But um I guess that little nanny comment that she had made about him when he was taking the kids out to the movies kind of might have little touched them a little bit. So they had some little words with that, but they cool. They love each other. Happy family. Okay, so we get into Tia and her sister. Remember, she bought her. Cause we want to call her stepsister, but half sister, whatever you want to call them. But her sister that her father had with another family, and how it was good to the viewers us watching took to that pretty well. Like to see it, of course, she gets a little teary eyed because it's a sensitive subject, losing the father and things of that nature. So, with that is how her and her sister's relationship became stronger. It took for that to happen, but which obviously, she kind of wished didn't. But either way, they're good now, and kind of ended up segueing into Giselle because, see, like I said, because, well, like, dang, Giselle, you ain't got nothing else to talk about. We're going to wait. Listen, got to wait your turn till we get to Colorado. But she inserted herself. Obviously, we know that she's been battling her father's estate for a couple years now. And we ended up finding out that she lost to her stepmother, which I don't think she wanted to be called stepmother, but her father's wife. And it wasn't about the money, is what she's trying to explain. It was more of the legacy of her father and continuing that part, not the money part. So that's where it is more disappointing in her. And I mean, listen, I don't know how she fought it in court or whatever the motive was, but had that technically been the motive to preserve civil rights memorabilia, maybe you might have would have won that, and then she could have kept everything else. But if you fought it for everything, you know how I go. You be married to somebody, girl. You should have. Yeah. It's unfortunate, but that's just what it is. She didn't win. So instead, somebody's building some type of museum in Houston for him. So I think that would be cool. And I kind of forgot about her dad in the civil rights thing. Okay. See, if she talks more about herself and her family, we could appreciate this more about Giselle. Like, do this. Let's talk about that. Not all this other stuff that you ain't got nothing to talk about. Okay, the back and forth between Tia and Jazzy. Like, I don't even know why Jazzy is here, to be honest. I don't. Even when she was Mia's friend, like, she don't need to be here. Mia not here, she don't need to be here. That's kind of how I feel, okay? Because she just inserting herself just wherever. And yeah, you did embarrass yourself, like Tia said, talking about some, you coming after me in 14 days before I'm getting married. Talk about I'm flirting with somebody or whatever. Girl, Tia said, y'all obviously squashed that stuff before you even had that big old blowout and apologized to you because, right, I don't know you like that. And I didn't think that it was gonna be such a bad, like a dig, you know what I'm saying, like that, or he's gonna take it that personal, like, dang, is that nigga beat your ass, like, I mean, because what kind of abuse is going on in y'all relationship that I can't say, oh, there go your dude or so, he gonna get mad at you for that, because I said, okay, or yeah, whatever. We clearly see that you wasn't flirting at all or nothing like that back, and it's all on camera. So whatever, I don't know. They're going back and forth about whatever, arguing. It is what it is. Tia, you got her. I'll say, look, Tia, you got her. I'm on Tia's side with this one. Jazzy, I don't even know why she here. And when it comes to listen, he play football now. Talking about he make millions and millions of dollars. Okay, he was playing on one team when you met him, right? Now he's on another team. Is he a starter? New England Patriots. I mean, they did go to the Super Bowl by fluke. I mean, let's be real. That wasn't even a real, like, was that even a real Super Bowl? Like, come on now. You ain't gonna never meet no Cardi B. So Jazzy and Stacy, obviously they were friends, but once things got her rolling, they kind of just ended up falling out. Mainly once, I guess, Ashley and Wendy were busting her about the wedding situation. Like, oh, she wasn't really gonna come unless Ashley went or something, and it was being filmed. So she was trying to wait to see what was gonna happen first before she accepted said invitation. She ended up going to the wedding anyway, woo, and she thought everything was cool, smoothed over. But then yet, whatever so-called lies Stacy was being involved with, Jazzy kind of jumped on that bandwagon to be like, okay, well then maybe she's not a good friend. And I'm catching her up in some stuff too, right? Because, she's telling me certain things, but y'all telling me other stuff, right? And Stacy, with her side is just going to try to flip it on Jazzy a little bit to say, well, technically our friendship really fell out because of you recording our phone calls, okay? Now, I think we all know that most of the Housewives world is very, very sensitive to recordings, okay? Like they do not want no receipts or timeline screenshots. But you put us on recorder, you're a vile, disgusting. Listen, you turn into Meredith. They all turn into Meredith, okay? Are you recording us? And Stacy just puts it out there. Yeah, that's what you was doing, and I caught you up, and that's how, she's doing it to all y'all, just so y'all know. And some of the girls say, yeah. Yep, you right, because she got me. She got me too. And, it is what it is. Jazzy's like, yeah, whatever. You can flip it on me all you want to. Whether she was recording or not, because she did not deny nor admit. But either way, she's calling Stacey all types of frauds and you ain't no good, woo bad friend type of stuff like that. And of course, once this back and forth get to go on with the ladies, Andy be like, okay, we're going to put a nip in it right here and we're going to move on. Who's next? Monique. So Miss Monique comes out and, Andy gives her, her kudos on watching her journey. It's been 5 years since she's been on this set or been on to a reunion. And it's actually the set that she was on when her first reunion. So pretty, is it like a full moment circle type of situation? I don't know if that's what y'all want to call it, but and she's come equipped with her binder. Remember that binder that she bought? That that reunion, it goes in top 5 of all reunions of all time, I believe. Yeah, that's top 5 for sure. If not top 3. Ugh. But either way, let's not dwell in the goodness of the past. But either way, this binder is still the same old binder. She needs to change some of those tabs though, which I wish she would have got into it. She had tabs on Wendy, Robin, the last lady, Karen, what else she put in there? I was like, listen, but she bought it just in case. And she's, in good spirits and everything. But the first thing she brings up is, I'm going through court. You know what I'm saying? I could have actually tweaked this binder a little bit. But, I'm in court back and forth with Chris and everything, right? Ooh, and especially, he just sent me a cease and desist last night. Like, last night for real, girl? Yes, me and Ashley was out for dinner. And as soon as she left, bing, 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 notification. I got to go to court again. Is it all because of Stacey? I mean, some of it. All right, so we get into Monique and, this journey that she's been on, for her. Obviously, you had to drop Chris, well, she describes him as 300 and whatever pounds, which is understandable. Get your divorce, and after divorce, you got to get to you. Once you find you, then we move on accordingly in a new, a different direction than we did before. And that's just kind of her walk these days. You realize, I think, well, not everybody does know this, but yeah, you are your own person. It's just you. And you control your destiny. What you put out is what you get back. All that good stuff that we all learn, but sometimes it just goes over people's heads or they just forget or just push it in the back of their mind and just don't care about it, right? But either way, just going through that journey, self-reflection, things like that. As we all know, she quit the show and she did not want to come back. Okay. It was not no firing, nothing like that. It was her like, I'm done with this. I'm done with y'all. I'm done with the production. I'm done with the company. I don't want nothing to do with it. Next time we seen her, she was on Carlos King's Love and Marriage Huntsville, where she actually bashed this Bravo and all that stuff. She never said their names, but we knew that other show, we doing things different over here. And I ain't got time for this and doing that. But yes, she was still married to Chris. And if anybody watched the show, she wasn't the Monique that we liked on Potomac. Okay. And I believe after that is when, some time went past and they ended up getting a divorce. But in between times, it's been 5 years before she was on the show. So, let's see, 5 years. Ultimate Girls Trip started taking off, the first season, second season. I didn't watch the first season. I might have to go back and watch that. But I did pick up on season 2 with Dorinda, and then it was at the Bluestone Manor. That what she called her house? Yeah. And to try to get her on that. Surprisingly, I didn't know. Her being there definitely would have changed the dynamics up a little bit because we had Eva. I think her and Eva would have got along very, very well. But and who else was there? Phaedra. But anyway, um, she told Andy no. I don't want to do this. No. And she explains that because, like I said, she wasn't fired or nothing, so she was always welcome to come back. Always. It was just up to her. And for her, it's like, right, she just wasn't ready, and she was still married to Chris and things of that nature, and, just still trying to figure things out. But now, once she's done that, she realized, I think I can do this. And, the ultimate test really is to put yourself back into that environment that, I guess, lighted the fire to all this, that lighted that torch to kick back this new life that she has now. Okay. So, because I think for her, technically, it was this show would be a trigger and everything. But yeah, coming back and technically facing said demons, which, will be Giselle. I don't know if we're ever going to get to that Candace thing yet, but in due time, okay? In due time, because now that she back, now we just got to get Candace to come back in. Like I say, Candace wasn't fired or nothing. She left on her own terms, which means she can come back anytime she wants to. But will she? We don't know. But in the meantime, we're just going to deal with Monique, and I think, yeah, new space, new face. I mean, and we'll see. Her and Giselle getting to sit down. Of course, Andy was happy about that because that is something that we needed. You know what I'm saying? Y'all to sit down, plus you and Candace to sit down. Plus, maybe her and Robin need to sit down whenever Robin get back on the show. We need that. And her and Wendy sit down. So we do need her and Robin and her and Candace. And Monique or Giselle has accepted, Monique's apologies and things. She sees her where she is now, and that's where they're gonna be, in the now, in the new, and now, and they can learn to get along and be around each other. Like I say, we don't got to be no besties or nothing like that, but at least we could be, and that is a good step. That's what I'm saying. That's a good step because, like I said, then she already talked to Wendy because her and Wendy didn't even make friends at the time. That was Wendy's first season, so she didn't really even get a chance. But her and Robin definitely need to sit. So maybe this is a segue for that. And then later, like I said, her and Candace need to sit. I mean, the thing with her and Monique, it wasn't necessarily it was a thing, but her looking at Monique looking at Angel and Rob on that Colorado trip, like, oh dang, look like Monique. God dang it, damn names. Angel is doing everything, and Bobby ain't doing nothing, basically, right? So for her, it was like, oh, so I'm thinking back to how I was, and Chris was, so that's just how it kind of came into contact and relation to my mind. Plus, being, football players, obviously married to a football player in the football world, athletes are, can be a certain way and this and this and that. And I just didn't want you to be on that trip being all burnt out and this and that, stressed out about what's going on, and he ain't doing nothing, ain't helping and this and that. And then coming back at the ladies and woo that. And I guess that was her apology, to say, like, that's just not how I was trying to put it, even though that's how it was taken. The way they edited out, it made it seem as if Rob was, put offish or whatever, didn't want to be bothered. It kind of like they give a lot of husbands the bad edit, is what we call it, the bad edit, right? Where I always see it as, these dudes, this is not their show. I'm saying, like, this is what I see it as. This is just me. This is the Housewives or whatever show, or even whatever show it is. This is the wife's thing. This is the wife's job. This is the wife's. Ugh. Why do I gotta be in it? So that's why I'm not in it. Why I need to be confessionals and all of the business and the pillow talking and like that's so I don't look at them as all he abusive and he doing this to her and he ain't no good. Why would I do that? Y'all did it to Angela, man. Like that. This is Angela stuff. What I want to be sitting here and talk about women's girl and what she said and she said for what? Anywho, but I guess that misunderstanding came to an understanding here to where we both can see where you was coming at, Monique. Angel, okay, now I understand. Now take it as whatever. Fine, we can move on. Bobby is wonderful, great husband, great dad, bad at it. This is all I got to say. But Tia and Kay said that he was actually great while they was at the house. He did, helped out with everything, cooked for them and all that stuff. So, it is what it is. All right, so we're going to end this part 2 getting into the Stacy, Monique, and Chris triangle, okay? Because did or did not Stacy date or whatever Chris, okay? Of course, she admitting to know who he is, admitting to, I guess, hanging out with him or being in the same rooms with him, but never admitting to dating him. Okay, I think that's where the ladies were trying to get, like, were you guys actually dating? Not that, oh, I know who he is and all that stuff in passing and whatever. When it came to Monique, obviously the ladies are just being messy, trying to start something with the she's messing with your ex type thing. But Stacey don't know her, so if she was, I mean, who cares? I mean, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we don't even know her. I'm not with him at all. Like, divorce, I date other people, he date other people. Like, it doesn't matter. The thing with Monique, it was more of things people do can affect her by way of how Chris reacts. Okay. Rewind to what she said about going back and forth with Court and him, right? Because talking about me and then, defamation and, well, things like that he can nitpick about is what her concern would be. Okay. It's not necessarily her dating. Because like I said, right, we ain't together. It ain't no. So Stacey was trying to explain here how, right, I know who he is. We never dated like that. And I don't know Monique like that or whatever, right? So what did I do wrong is how Stacey is kind of like, what did I do? What's wrong? What did I do? And Monique's like, well, I mean, you might have did. I don't know if she's see, this where it cuts off here. Because Monique's like, well, like I said, it only bothers me when things come back to me in a negative way, and something did come back to her. So that, whatever that is, we'll get to it on the next episode. Yeah, so far so good. I mean, it is a reunion. See the part 2. We got through most of the cast. All we got last really is Giselle and the whole Colorado trip. And we got Jazzy here. We got Monique. And so we'll get to part 3 next time. See y'all later. Thanks for watching.